Welcome and bienvenue to Weaving the Strands, the interconnectedness of FSL Learning. This series of modules is intended to provide support for Ontario School Board leaders during their professional conversations in the context of teaching French as a second language. Weaving the Strands, the interconnectedness of FSL Learning is Phase 3 of the FSL Teacher Recruitment and Retention Module Project, funded by the Ontario Ministry of Education. These modules have been created by the Ontario Modern Languages Teachers Association, OMLTA, in partnership with MLC, the Modern Languages Council. This third series of modules will examine how the curriculum strands of listening, speaking, reading, and writing are interconnected but distinct. These 4 modules will emphasize that students need multiple opportunities to listen and respond to texts and to others, speak and interact with others, read, view, and respond to a variety of texts, and write a variety of texts for many different purposes and audiences. Effective instructional strategies and tools that support the FSL curriculum, learner engagement, differentiation, equity, diversity, and inclusion will be outlined and shared. Each of the 4 modules contains its own viewer's guide, video, and webinar. Access to these resources is available on the OMLTA website and the OMLTA YouTube channel. A glossary of terms can also be found at www.omlta.org. A Facilitator's module has been created to support work with these modules in various formats and settings and is accompanied by a recorded webinar. Reading, writing, speaking, listening, viewing, and representing are closely interrelated. Experiences involving one or more language processes contribute to development in the others. As students develop strategies and proficiency in one aspect of language, they also improve in others. This quote by Jurowski really emphasizes that as we listen, we are accumulating the language knowledge to be able to speak. As we learn to read, we are beginning to learn to write. As we develop proficiency in one strand of language learning, we are simultaneously developing proficiency in each of the other strands. All 4 strands of the FSL curriculum are interconnected, and one cannot be taught without the other. As stated in the quote from Jurowski, all 4 strands of the FSL curriculum are closely interrelated and interconnected. According to the curriculum, if students hear it, they can say it. If students can say it, they can read it. And if students can read it, they can write it. Therefore, each strand is distinct, but all strands are interconnected and need to be taught with that in mind. Each strand is a springboard to the other, and teaching all strands are essential to successful second language acquisition. The documents highlighted here have been created by the Ontario Ministry of Education to support Ontario School Board leaders and FSL educators in developing a common understanding of the fundamental goals and expectations for all FSL learners, including learners with special needs and English language learners. Included in these documents are distinctions and commonalities among the FSL programs of Core, Immersion, and Extended French, which range from junior kindergarten to grade 12. All learners in Ontario have the right and the ability to learn French. When educators implement effective learning tools and strategies, learners gain the confidence to communicate and interact proficiently and confidently in French. Creating lifelong language learners is the ultimate goal of the FSL curriculum, as educators create a positive, engaging FSL learning environment that supports all learners. The FSL curriculum is divided into 4 strands for language learning: listening, speaking, reading, and writing. Each module in this series presents a strand and is presented distinctly, yet with an emphasis on its interconnectedness. Each strand is intertwined as learners transfer their knowledge, skills, and understanding of one strand to the others. Using a variety of instructional, communicative strategies, educators are able to facilitate the learning of language by embedding listening, speaking, reading, and writing within authentic contexts. The first module will focus on exploring the listening strand of the FSL curriculum, with an aim to develop language proficiency and confidence for FSL learners. This module will address possible barriers present for educators and learners while participating in listening activities. It will also discuss concrete instructional strategies that will help learners develop listening and interaction skills. Module 2 is intended to support FSL educators in maximizing oral communication and interaction through high-yield, low-risk strategies. This module explores how to equip language learners to engage in accountable, productive talk in order to build confidence, develop oral proficiency, and understand how French is used to communicate. By explicitly teaching and modeling communication techniques, learners will begin to independently select, use, and apply strategies to communicate in the target language. Module 3 builds upon the learner's previous knowledge, skills, and experiences with listening and speaking in French in order to explore the different tools and strategies that they can use to make sense of the texts they are reading. Through explicit teaching of reading comprehension strategies and language awareness tools, the learner will begin to comprehend a variety of meaningful, diverse, and inclusive French texts. The fourth module is centered on the writing strand of the FSL curriculum and is intended to support FSL educators in maximizing written production and interaction through high-yield, low-risk strategies. Learners do best when engaging in accountable, productive writing situations that build confidence, develop written proficiency, and understand how French is used to communicate in authentic written situations. A facilitator's guide has been created to support system administrators, coordinators, consultants, instructional coaches, and tip leads, and subject leads as they look to facilitate professional learning using this project series. The goal of this guide is to provide varied learning pathways for FSL educators and allies based on their needs, to learn how to facilitate professional learning using this series of modules, and to know how to provide consistent messaging with the intended purpose, resources, and supports outlined. A webinar is available to support this guide and can be found at www.omlta.org or on the OMLTA YouTube channel. Webinars have been shared and recorded for each of the 4 modules within this phase of the project. These webinars build on the content presented in each module with ideas for implementation in the classroom, resources that can be used, and ways to connect the strands. These webinars are available on OMLTA's YouTube channel and website at www.omlta.org and can be viewed and reviewed as required to support the professional development of FSL educators. The first phase of the FSL Teacher Recruitment and Retention Project focused on supporting best practices in student confidence, proficiency, and achievement in FSL. Module 1 of this phase included strategies for establishing a positive FSL classroom environment, while Module 2 highlighted the importance of knowing the learners and planning for authentic and engaging tasks, and the third module shared suggestions for assessment and evaluation within the FSL context. The second phase was entitled Dare to Unmute Fsl. The first module within this phase aimed at developing an understanding of how identity, culturally relevant pedagogy, and intercultural awareness competence need to be present in the FSL classroom. Module 2 emphasized effective instructional practices for in-person, hybrid, and virtual settings. And the final module shared ideas for developing dynamic, action-oriented tasks that meet the needs of all learners. As with this phase of the project, each of the previous modules contains its own viewer's guide, video, and webinar. Access to these resources is available on the OMLTA website and the OMLTA YouTube channel. A glossary of terms can also be found at www.omlta.org. There are many organizations that offer excellent FSL professional development and resources to support FSL educators. Many of these and other subject associations organize annual conferences and webinars that provide networking opportunities for FSL staff. Often, FSL educators are the only ones in their school, and those schools can often be separated geographically, leading to a sense of isolation. Accessing organizations such as these provides educators with the opportunity to collaborate, network, and plan with FSL colleagues.
Your voice and feedback support the development of future professional learning series. Please take a moment to complete the following survey with your team. Should you have any questions about this module, please send an email to omlta@omlta.org. These modules were created under the leadership of the Ontario Modern Languages Teachers Association. The OMLTA is a non-profit professional association that has been supporting French as a second language and international languages teachers of all programs and grade levels since 1886. Today, it continues to be the leader in professional learning and advocacy, inspiring and connecting Ontario's French and international languages educators. These modules were designed to support FSL teacher retention and recruitment by deepening the understanding of the directions, principles, and content of the Ontario curriculum policy documents for all 3 of the province's FSL programs: Core French, Extended French, and French Immersion. The OMLTA would like to thank the Ministry of Education for its financial support in developing these modules. Special thanks is also extended to the educators who contributed their expertise and experience to the development of these modules.